card. I'm calling it a window card. I did see it on Pinterest. I wasn't real sure. Let me pull everything over here so you can see it. I wasn't real sure of the measurements because it was in centimeters and the language was German, and since I don't know either one of those, I went ahead and came up with my own measurements. Now these are two of the cards, and I just recently went to my first Glitter Queen retreat held by Dawn Griffith and her husband, such super hostesses. We had a blast, and I'll be talking more and showing more of what we did while we were there. All the pillow gifts were just out of this world, so we'll talk more about that. But the card that I took up for my card share was this particular one, and I was using some of the new Halloween stamp sets, which I'm not going to be bringing into this because, again, this is all about the measurements, what you need to put one together, and then you design it how you like it. But it opens up, and when it opens up with a ribbon, and the ribbon does go all the way around. This was actually one of my first prototypes, and I did not put the ribbon all the way through the back. It was just in the front, and of course that makes your piece open from here, which you don't want it to open wildly like that. But anyway, this is the way the card opens, and just super cute. A lot of fun for designing. So once I got home, I enjoyed making this one so much and designing it, I thought we needed a Christmas one. So this is what I came up with our Christmas item. And that again is using one of the new stamp sets that you'll get to order here very shortly at the beginning of September. So stay tuned. And if you have not gotten a holiday catalog and don't have a demonstrator, I would love to send you one. And if you need the our yearly catalog, I should say, I'll be glad to send that to you as well. But here's what the Christmas one, and I just thought it came out so elegant using the gold foil paper along with this new plaid that has the gold stripes in it. I'm just in love with this new Christmas paper and stamp sets that they're giving us, and all the framelits. Oh my goodness, the framelits just cut like butter. So anyway, this is what I came up with my Christmas design. So what I'm going to do with you today is give you measurements, and they'll also be on my blog, but I want you to see kind of how it comes together. Okay, so let me go ahead and roll over here. The dies that we're using a lot in this card are these, and we're actually using the 3, and I'll come back to these. These are the 3 dies that we're using out of here. So it'd be your 4th, 5th, and 6th from the outside is what we're using in our stitched rectangulars. Okay, so let's bring this out. Your card base will measure, and you do need to get your 12 by 12 cardstock. And if you look in our catalog, our annual catalog, you'll see where that particular item is in your color families, and you get 2 sheets of every color that's in that color family. So it's very doable to make this card, even if we don't have, say, all the colors in a pack by itself where you'd have molded colors. There's all kinds of color schemes that you can make with this, okay? So I'm using the black 12 by 12, and this particular piece measures 5.5 by 12 inches. And then we have a second piece that measures 4.5 by 5.5 inches, okay? And so each of our panels are going to score down, and I'll bring my score in here. They're going to score down to 4 inches. So at our 4-inch mark, we would want to come in here and make a score line, because that's what are going to attach our panel, okay? And then on the other pieces here, and I'll go ahead and bring this in. This is going to be scored at every 4 inches. So all we need is one at 4 inches, and then one at 8 inches. And that's all we need for that, okay? So let's set this aside for a second. All right, so then what you're going to do is at the end of your panel, I'm hoping you can see the score line here. What I do is I put my adhesive here, which I'll do in a second, and then I just glide that right in there and touch it to there. And then you've got your 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches, and 4 inches for each one of your panels, okay? So let's go ahead, and I do have Tombow glue. I use this because I get heavy-handed with the glue, and this helps me not to be so heavy-handed. And I get these at Hobby Lobby, and where they do the model airplanes and stuff. You can get those bottles with the, and I prefer the ones with the lids opposed to those that have the needle that go into it, because I find it a little bit difficult at times to get my needle to go in quickly, and I struggle with it, so I just use the little cap, and that seems to work well. So what we're going to do is, let me get my bone folder here so we can crease that really, really well here and make sure that it adheres. That's why I'm waiting a second to do my folds and stuff to make sure that has connected well. Okay, so once you get all of your 4 panels, you'll want to go to your Big Shot, and using this particular size framelit, which I'll give you the exact measurements if you're not sure on your which ones from the inside. This would be, let's see, I told you it was the 4th. So this particular framelit would be the 5th. So you'd have one more framelit here, which I'll show you in a minute. And so this one would be the 5th one from the outside. It also, for measurement purposes, let's go to the inside of where it will cut. This particular one is 2 inches by 3 3/8 inches, okay? So anyway, you'll run this through the Big Shot, and you just eye it all the way through. And so that's where you get these particular frames here. If you look at this, if I lay this down, this fits exactly inside here. And you don't want to throw away any of your negatives, because they will come in handy for helping you finish off the design of your card, okay? So let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and score this. Just again, I'm not going to be cutting all of my squares out, because you can see from the sample how that works. I just wanted you to see how this piece would look, and then you're going to have your inside pieces, okay? So let's set this one aside, and then you're going to have next what is your insert piece, and you're going to have one that measures 3 1/4 by 8 1/2, and you're going to have one that is 3 1/4 by 9 inches. So on your 9-inch one, we want to be able to score it at 8 1/2, so we have a balance with our other ones. So let's bring this on in here, and we're going to score it at 8 1/2 again, so we have a 1/2 inch that we'll be able to connect to this other piece, okay? So again, let's go ahead and do this. Okay, and bring this right in here and line it up against your score line. You got a couple of seconds to maneuver it to make sure that it balances well. And let's make sure we get this. And what I may do, just so I can show you how it threads in, is I may put this on pause, the video, and run over and cut my little frames out from that piece that I just showed you, and that way you can at least see that. But for scoring of this particular one, real easy. You just need to score at, I'm going to take some of these out. This was from my Friday night's project for my ladies, and their measurements don't mean anything right now, so we'll move them on over. Okay, so you're going to go at 2 3/4 inches. Let's see which one's my thin one. I like to use the thin one. 2 3/4 inch, and then you're going to go to 5 1/2 inches. Then you want to turn it around and do the same measurements. 2 3/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Okay. And then if you'll notice here, this is your score line. This is where we connected the two pieces, and it's at 8 1/2. And I just like to reinforce it there, just so that everything folds nicely for me. Okay. So again, this one's going to fold, mountain, and fold. And when you get it, you'll want to, of course, put all your pieces together. And this is what you get. And that's your insert that will go in here. So I'm going to pause the video for long enough to go cut those out so that I don't have having to wait on it. And then I'll be right back and I'll show you how it all threads together. All right, so when I went over, I went ahead, let me put this aside so we can kind of talk about what we did here. I took the panels that all were glued together and matched that we did earlier, and I went through and used this particular framelit, which again is your 5th one. And I cut out just using my eyes, and I noticed one of them I got it in a little bit of an angle, and that's fine because I was kind of in a hurry. But anyway, you will get these 4 particular, I call them negatives, out of what you cut, and you want to keep those because they can be used in part of your decorations of your panels. And because that's what and I'm going to show you here in a second what I did with the orange that was in that one particular piece. All right, so we're going to set this aside for a second because I want to tell you how I did the panels. You're going to have 4 of these particular panels, and what's going to happen with them is you're going to cut those particular ones by 3 3/4 by 5 1/8, and you need 4 of those. Then what you're going to do is take each one of them using the 4th from the outside, largest one, and then the 6th from the outside for here, because we want this when we take it out to be a panel like so, just like this one shows here. This is what it starts off with. Then we put the our 2 framelits in there, and we cut these pieces off. Okay, and the piece that we're going to be using, this is what I was talking about as far as having that other availability of using your negatives. This particular one in this design, if you'll notice, fit right here, and that's what I used on each end. So I used 2 of my negatives, okay? So don't throw any of your negative away, and it makes it a little bit quicker if when you're cutting this, you go ahead and cut both of your pieces out. Then this little frame will come in handy for another little card, or I could, trim it up and use it for the design of this card, but I don't throw away any of these pieces, and I use them for other card patterns as I'm working on them. All right, so then once you get your frames like so, let's put this aside. You've got your frames. The next thing you're going to do is take this piece, and you're going to go through and you're going to adhere each one of your frames in between here, and that's how you get your frames. Isn't that pretty? Okay, and this is for a design a little bit later that I'm going to do using the peacock suite. Okay, so then when you're done with your design, let's say you've got this all laid out, and I'm going to show you again. Let's use the Christmas one as a sample because that is one of my favorites. Okay, so you can use designer paper just like I did here. You can use cardstock like I did on the Halloween one, and you can use an embossing folder and make a design with it. You could stamp them and make another design with it. It's just unlimited to what you can do with this particular card and make it look so different each time. So once you get your whole design in, then you're going to thread this in by coming to the center here, and I'm going to bring it to where you have the center just like this, okay? And then you're going to adhere this piece, and you've got this, I'll show you, you've got this much room to put it in there, okay? And what I'm doing is I like to when I adhere that down, is I try and get as even as I can between these two end frames here, and the same thing with this piece over here when I go to do it. And then I adhere those down. And this I do after I've decorated both of the pieces. It's kind of one of your final things that you're gonna do. And then when you come and fold it up, this is what it looks like together before I put my outside panels on. And so for the outside panels, you're going to need, let me tell you, because I got my, it's 3 9/16 by 4 1/4. And you can kind of measure this and see what size you want your frame to be, as long as you're covering this, and leave yourself a little bit of a border. This is kind of to show you what I did out here, is I used the gold well, first I used a black panel, and then I used the gold because I wanted something solid in between, because there again, this is how I used my negatives. This was a negative out of my card when I was cutting it out of the designer paper, and then I used one of the panels that came from the pieces that I was cutting in the center there, and used it on the outside here. So it's kind of layers, and I wanted something solid in the back. When you adhere this, you're going to want to put your glue dots, not your glue dots, I'm sorry, your dimensionals along the outside here. And it was a suggestion by one of the other ladies. I was putting them on the actual panel behind here, and it makes it easier because you're going to take a 27-inch piece of ribbon, and you want it to go through the center of this as you're laying this out. So if you keep your dimensionals, you know, right here and right here, you've got that whole span here that you can even your ribbon out. So you'll take and put all your dimensionals there. You'll do the same thing on the back panel here, and then you'll take and open it up from the back like so. You'll have it open like this, and then what you're going to do is lay your ribbon down, and this won't lay completely flat because it's glued, but you'll lay your ribbon in and get it evenly here. Put your panels down on both the back and the front, and then your ribbon will slide in and out. And if ever the ribbon, somebody may, you know, pull it out or accidentally or whatever, you can slide it right back in, because I have had this particular one come out and there was no problem with sliding it back in. But this allows you to have that flexibility of getting it even whenever you go to fold everything up. So when you come like this, you just pull it tight and tie your bow, and then you have your card made. I will have all of the measurements on my blog at stampinwishes.com. And so if you want to go over there, the materials I'm going to put in there will be for the Christmas one, just so you can see how, you know, the pieces that I used for it. And I'll have pictures of both the Halloween and the Christmas one over there, so you'll be able to see what products I used there. But all the measurements will be there. So I hope that you'll go over to my blog, and if you like what you see today in the video and you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up and make a comment if you'd like to, or maybe a suggestion if you see something that I could have done a little bit easier or better for you in this video. And again, if you want to see my videos whenever they come available, which I'll get back on focus here. Unfortunately, I was out for about 2 weeks and I haven't been doing videos. I had jury duty, and then I had my retreat to go to. Not an excuse, I should have been better prepared, but I wasn't, and so that's life and it happens. But I am back, and I'll be getting my videos out to you. And again, if you like what you see, subscribe both to my blog and to YouTube video, and yeah, you'll be notified as soon as my next one comes out. So until next time, happy creation, and God bless you all.